Greetings and welcome, I'm Ash, and today I would like to talk to you about the current state of Gwent. Gwent has undergone a massive transformation from a simple minigame in The Witcher 3 to a fully standalone game. But all of that pales in comparison to the amount of changes that happened between the closed and open beta. All of the factions have been redesigned, all of the cards rebalanced, and most of the special effects have been changed in order to promote a wider variety of playstyles. So if you're wondering what exactly is the current state of Gwent in regards to balance, the free-to-play experience, and the overall enjoyment one gets from playing a match, allow me to give you my thoughts after spending about 40 hours with the open beta. Without spoiling too much, let's just say that there's been a giant leap in the right direction, and one that will most likely lead to a very bright future for Gwent. The previously obnoxious cards such as Weather have been entirely redesigned to offer more counterplay, while some of the vanilla cards with no effects have been given unique effects in order to make them more than simple stat sticks. Add to that a variety of new abilities and you've got more viable decks per faction than previously existed as a whole, though I must admit there are some balance issues right now that slightly muddle those numbers. In other words, there are still some problematic cards that will need to be tweaked somewhere down the line. But the good news is that Gwent's foundation, the very core of its gameplay, is rock solid. For example, at the time of writing and recording this, Skellige's Savage Bears and Axemen are the most problematic cards in the game, given that they are not only incredibly powerful for a bronze, aka common card, but the bears are also bugged in such a way that they continue dealing damage even after being sent to the graveyard. It is a serious balance problem, you won't hear me say otherwise, but due to all the newly added tools, it is not a problem that can't be overcome through a bit of cunning and some clever deck building. These types of troublesome cards will eventually get fixed, but until that happens, you'll be glad to hear that there are counters available to prevent any potential overpowered combination from just dominating the meta. Another area where Gwent has seen incredible improvements in is card acquisition. When I first started the closed beta, I found it really hard to assemble a deck of my own design since the card packs, or kegs as they're called, were given out fairly infrequently. These days, however, you can quite comfortably get a top tier meta deck within a week or two of playing. It really is that easy. By playing around 30 minutes a day, you can easily get one card pack for free, as well as a bunch of small goodies that quickly snowball into yet another card pack or a high rarity card of your choice. If you decide to play for, let's say, an hour or more, you can easily acquire 2.5 card packs a day, which will take you a lot further than you might expect. The reason this is so is because each pack gives you 4 random cards, after which you have the ability to choose one extra card out of a newly generated trio. This way, you not only have the ability to target a specific faction, but also cherry pick the absolute best cards in the game in order to assemble a proper competitive deck. It is an absolutely brilliant free-to-play system, and if I owned a hat, I would definitely tip it to whoever came up with the idea. There is one little problem though, both for the players and CD Projekt Red themselves. And that is the simple fact that buying card packs is not a wise investment. Gwent is still in its early stages, so it doesn't sport a massive repertoire of cards, which means that after 30 or so card packs, you're going to start seeing duplicates, and a lot of them. This issue is then further exasperated by the extremely low drop chance for legendary and epic cards, which, combined with the $1.5 price tag for each card pack, makes for some rather unrewarding purchases. In other words, if you really want to spend some money and have it actually mean something, make sure to do so at the very beginning by buying one of the larger bundles. That will give you a rather nice head start without filling you up with a ton of duplicates. Continuing on with the new player experience, it is worth mentioning that the open beta has brought with it a rather useful tutorial. The first part, as you would expect, revolves entirely around explaining the controls and what exactly each type of card does. It is not overly complex, and it probably won't teach you how to play Gwent at any sort of serious level, but it does a good enough job of introducing new players to all of the concepts they will be seeing throughout their journey. And best of all, it gives you an absolute ton of card packs just for the effort. That said, you might think the whole effort thing is just a figure of speech, but if you're a new player, you might genuinely have a bit of trouble against all of the AI opponents that make part 2 of the tutorial. They aren't incredibly tough, and they do make some underpants on head insane moves, but if you don't give them the respect they deserve, they will quite handily beat down your starter decks. Besides teaching you how your deck works and what your win condition even is, these tutorials are great because they expose you to watered down versions of powerful archetypes you will meet later on. Beating an AI opponent that's using a Weather Monsters deck is not going to teach you how to counter a fully optimized version, but it will give you a glimpse at some of the strategies and cards such a deck might utilize, and for beginners, this sort of knowledge is worth its weight in gold. Unfortunately, not every part of Gwent is this player friendly. In an effort to make the UI, or user interface, equally good on PC and consoles, CDPR has created a monstrosity that is simply tedious to use. You can still play Gwent perfectly fine, that part of the UI is thankfully unaffected. But when it comes to exploring the graveyard or choosing a specific card, you will be met with a giant carousel that's about as annoying to navigate as you might imagine. It also doesn't help that when your opponent is doing these actions as a part of a card effect, the upper half of your screen becomes a blurry mess of fast-moving images and pure darkness. But when it comes to irritating UI design choices, the crowning champion is the full-screen blur effect that occurs every time your opponent is choosing which cards to replace from their hand. It might not sound like much now, but when you're staring at a half-black, half-blurry screen for upwards of 30 seconds per game, it really starts eating away at what little sanity you might still have left. And speaking of sanity, trying to create a deck in Gwent is just pure insanity. Despite there being clearly defined rows where you can place cards in order to sort them out and give yourself a better overview of your deck, almost every single one of them will pile into one gigantic and nearly incomprehensible line the moment you press save. Things get even worse when you decide your deck is missing a certain card, as the process of going from the deck builder to the card crafter takes you through 5 loading screens and many pointless menu transitions. And no, I am sadly not joking, you genuinely have to sit through loading screen after loading screen in order to craft a single card to put in your deck. As far as strategy is concerned, Gwent is really a brilliant game that can easily compete with the already established giants, but when it comes to UI, it is sadly one of the very worst. CDPR is thankfully aware of these issues, so hopefully they'll be able to sort them out by the time Gwent reaches full release. That little bit of ranting aside, I'm not sure if the rank system was changed or even tweaked for the open beta, but whatever the case may be, it does a surprisingly good job at keeping players motivated. In order to participate, you will need to reach level 10, which means you'll probably unpack somewhere around 30 to 40 card packs before you even begin your ranked adventures. This might not sound important, but is really big because it essentially ensures that everyone who steps foot into ranked is going to have at least some sort of competitively viable deck. But more importantly for balance, not everyone starts on the very bottom of the ladder like they do in Hearthstone. Instead, your initial position is dictated by your performance in all of the matches you need to complete in order to reach level 10. It is a very simple little feature, but it goes a long way towards avoiding the problem of experienced players just stomping all over those that are still learning. Another reason why I love the rank system in Gwent is because it actually rewards you for your progress and skill, something Blizzard has still not managed to properly implement into Hearthstone. Every single rank you achieve, of which there are 21, gives you a whole bunch of goodies that scale upwards. For example, by reaching the rather low rank 6 you will receive 2 card packs, while climbing up to rank 11 will give you double that amount, as well as all of the rewards for all of the ranks between those two. What this means is that by simply playing the ranked mode, you will gain a considerable amount of card packs, meteorite powder which is used to create animated cards, as well as scraps which you can turn into specific cards. Add to this a bunch of extremely generous rewards at the end of the season, and you're looking at one of the best ranked systems I've had the pleasure of messing around with, at least as far as card games are concerned. It definitely has some flaws when you reach the very top of the ladder, but for the common player it represents a great way of acquiring a ton of new cards while playing against equally skilled opponents. And honestly, that is all you can really ask for. I have spent a ridiculous amount of time playing Gwent in The Witcher 3, and I am very glad to say that it has only improved ever since. The balance is much tighter, the card interactions are much more interesting, and the free-to-play model is so good you have to be practically insane to spend any money. It certainly has some areas that will require a lot of attention from CDPR before they are finally up to par, but when I look at Gwent as a game, I simply cannot find many reasons to complain. So if you're up for a deeply strategic game with barely any random elements, then Gwent might just be the game you're looking for. I'll be the first one to admit that Gwent is not going to appeal to everyone, but it is completely free, so do at least give it a try if you're into card games. It really is good enough to be worth at least a chance. Thank you guys for watching, and if you enjoyed this, or even if you didn't, please do let me know. And with that said, I hope you guys have a nice day, and I'll see you soon. See ya!